And now we're in. We are the hacker. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Let's crack some hashes. My name's Ash, I'm a cybersecurity enthusiast, and on this video, we're gonna go over some more basics of gaining a foothold into a Linux machine and escalating privileges. For any notes, links, or timestamps, see the description, otherwise let's go. So I've logged into TryHackMe on the overPASS room, and it says what happens when some broke computer science students make a password manager. So we've got a single task. I've already booted up my machine. We can see our machine. Great. So we'll start with a rustscan like we usually do. And straight away we see SSH and port 80. And I just noticed our scan results finished up. So let's go ahead and run this again against our ports to find out some more information. Alrighty, so we've got welcome to overPASS, this password manager. So we have a downloads directory. We have an about us directory. Okay, so we have something written in the language Go. So this might be something of use to us. We have our staff members. Perhaps there's a username in here that we might be able to use. So if we go back to the home page, we'll go Control U, and we do see a bit of a comment here, a hint perhaps. So the paragraph that it's reading about overPASS allows you to securely store different passwords for every service protected using military grade. The comment that we can't see on the front facing web page, yeah right, just because the Romans used it, it doesn't make it military grade. Change this. So if we actually look up Romans cryptography, we can find the Caesar cipher. So the Caesar cipher is also known as ROT13, or it's similar. So this is sort of pointing us towards what we might need to do at some point in this room. So we'll lock that one away. So going over our two ports that we have open, there's nothing too much of interest. There is an MD5 favicon. I don't know if that's anything. So let's run a directory buster scan, or feroxbuster more precisely. And let's go ahead and find the discovery, web content, and we'll just use a directory like medium, and maybe let's find some PHP file extensions. Okay, so one stands out pretty fast. We've got this admin directory. There was also an image directory, which opened anyway. That downloads has a source directory too, so we'll go ahead and inspect these. So the source is these files that we saw earlier, has images, nothing too amazing there. But this is interesting. Here we have an overPASS admin login page, username and password. Let's go Control U, see if there's anything interesting in here. Now the files that stick out to me is there's some custom JS or JavaScript files, main login and cookie. Let's open up these, see what we get. Okay, main just is logging hello world. Login. All right, now this is kind of interesting. This is definitely going to be doing something that we need to do something with. So if we look right at the end, this creates a session token of the value of status or cookie. Now, I'm not an expert in JavaScript, but because it's at the end, and because I can read basic Python, which almost translates, it says here, if status or cookie is equal to the incorrect credentials, it says you are incorrect. Otherwise, if it's right, it'll set the session token to this status or cookie. There is the vulnerability. So to see this in action, let's give this a copy. Will it open up burp? I actually think we can do this in the browser. All right, before burp, let's just try and do this in the browser. Let's just go inspect. Storage, cookies. We see that hello world console log. So on the right here, we can actually just go add item. Like we could just do this in burp. But if we set this to the name session token, and we set the value to this status or cookie, and we refresh the page, that's hacking. All right, cool. Now that we've tricked the website to think that we've actually logged in when we really haven't, we just set a cookie. So it says here, since you keep forgetting your password, James, boom, there's our username. I've set up an SSH key. If you forget your password for this, crack it yourself. So the password meaning the passphrase. So we need to crack this. So let's go ahead and copy this. And the last point, it says, oh, we really need to talk about this military grade encryption. Okay, so that might come into play because we remember we've got this Caesar cipher locked in the back of our heads. So let's create a key file and paste in our key RSA key that we have. Great, we'll save that off. Now we need to make a hash that can be cracked of this file. Luckily, there is a program called SSH2John, which will do just that. So if we go ahead and grab this key and put it into something like a key hash, literally call it anything, we can see here that this is put it into a hash file that we can go ahead ahead and try and crack. Using John to actually crack the hash, we'll pass that through. We'll use the typical word list of RockU because it's an easy box. It's most likely using this. It's going to spit out a bunch of warnings, but luckily John knows what it's doing and he'll figure it out for us. Great, so we got loaded one password hash. I think we can run hash. Yeah, that's right. So pass the file that you've just hashed with -- show, and that's going to give us our passphrase. Great. So now we have our passphrase. We can actually go ahead and try and use this thing. So we're going to SSH in, and we have our user, James. So James at our IP of our machine, we're going to specify the key using -I and pass through that key file, not the hash. That was just for cracking. This is just the file. Pass that through. I just remembered I didn't change permissions. So yeah, all right, let's quickly go back. Change permissions, 600 key. Try that again. All right, here's our passphrase. This is where we're entering what we just cracked. That's what we forgot. That's what we didn't know. And now we're in. We are the hacker. All right, who am I? So we're definitely James. We're in our home directory. So listing out what we've got. 2 interesting files. First one. All right, let's cat that out. Awesome, paste that in. So let's go sudo -l. We don't actually know the password for James. We only know the passphrase for his RSA files, so can't do that. So let's look at this to-do file. All right, so it says here, update overPASS's encryption. Miraland has been complaining that it's not strong enough. Write down my password somewhere on a sticky note so that I don't forget it. We make a password manager. Why don't I just use that? overPASS for Mac OS. It builds fine, but I'm not sure it actually works. Ask Paradox how he got the automated build script working and where the build goes. They are not updating on the website. Okay, so this means nothing to me. I guess we could go back and look at the source code for the password manager. Before we dig too deep in that, let's just look around the file system. Maybe there's something else. Okay, so after sort of looking around, can't really find anything I don't even know what a swap image is. What is that? I need to look that up. But let's go back to our source code for this image on our downloads page. Let's copy these two. Back on our local machine, let's go ahead and download that, and we'll go ahead and get that build.sh. Okay, so that gives us our build script and our overpass.go. So let's open these two in Sublime. I'm really not an expert on Golang, but let's do our best here. So something of interestingness, we do see an ROT47. So this is like rotate 13, the Caesar cipher. So that's sort of going back to what they're using. Yeah, I'm not really getting anything. If I actually go back and list out using our -a, there was something hidden that I didn't see at first. So some overpass file, and if we look at the contents of that, this looks like gibberish. And if I had to guess, this is the thing that is being rotated and used. So this is important. So let's open up CyberChef and paste that in. We don't have any suggestions, but we do know where to sort of start. So we can go and slide in rotate 13, and it doesn't really give us anything, so we can sort of just keep going. We did see rotate 47, and that is an option. Okay, yeah, that works straight away. So now we have something super interesting, a name and a password. So let's go back and cat out our Etsy password. So this is probably James's password. So let's confirm that by running sudo -l, and then where it's asking for the password to confirm. Okay, so it's James' password. It says, sorry, user James may not run sudo. Can't actually run anything from sudo at James's level. So that's a bit of a shame. So what can we try and do? There might be some set UIDs we could look at, or perhaps there might be something in Crontab. So let's try and cat out our Crontab file. And here we have something super interesting. The root is going to curl something at this domain for downloads-crs buildscript.sh and run that through bash. All right, so it's pretty tricky. Let's confirm where this domain is pointing. So let's look at the Etsy hosts file, and we can see in here that this domain is pointing to the system itself. Now, if we look at the permissions of our Etsy host file, we do have access to write to it. So we can change this. So why don't we change this to our local machine on the VPN that it'll see? Go ahead and switch this out to something else. So let's start by editing the Etsy host file, and we'll put in our own machine. We'll go 10.4.1.107. Your our IP will vary. Control X, Y, enter, save that off. Okay, now if we cat that out, we can confirm that we see our IP address. So we need to go ahead and create this exactly somewhere. So I'm just going to do it in this overPASS directory. So we'll make it downloads, then we'll make a source inside that downloads, and then we want to make this build script.sh. So we know whatever we put in here once we set up our web server will run as root. So we could do a couple of things, for example, like a reverse shell. So let's use the bash I, since it'll be run at the bash level. Already got my IP in there. So we'll copy this out, we'll paste this in, we'll go save. So we can confirm that that's definitely in there. The tab, awesome. So then we just need to set up a web server. We can do that right here with this command. And now we wait. All right, cool. So we saw here we had that request, but I kind of forgot something important. Didn't really set up a listening port. So we'll go Control-Shift-R, we'll paste that in, and now we will wait again. Cool. Okay, so exactly a minute later, we have our reverse shell, and since that ran as root, gave us root access. So assuming that there is a root.txt in the root directory, there we go. There is our last flag. Awesome. We will paste that in, and that was our room overpass. So thanks for sticking around and watching the whole video. I genuinely appreciate it. Up on the screen, you're going to see a link to the last room bounty hacker, which was also a really fun TryHackMe challenge. So if you haven't seen that one, go check it out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.